Welcome to my channel, Pink and Blue Shark. Welcome back. If you're back, welcome here. If you are new, I'm Tracy. Today I wanted to look at this debate I saw between Parker and another character online who, well, he had a take, and I wanted to respond to it. Let me see. Let me get the video player up. There's Parker. Do you like a salute? Good day.
That's
Good day,
rough,
sir.
bro. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, what's up, Parker? Can you hear me? I'm 23.
Yeah, so when your name is Truth Known and you have this Illuminati triangle thing, like, this means it's probably going to be something pretty insane.
Yeah, do you believe
right?
Christianity is true?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, why is that?
A lot of things going on in the world. You see there's structure, there's hierarchy, there's organization. And to me, to be 100% honest, am I 100% sure that it is true? No, but I'm definitely very strongly certain that it is true. There's just so much complexity in the world. There's so many things happen. There's kids dying of cancer. There's all this chaos happening. And when I look at
that's
it,
expected given an...
Let me go over the points he just brought up. He said there's organization and hierarchy. Then they said that they're chaos. So kind of feels like this caller's coming from like a Jordan Peterson kind of perspective, right? There's hierarchies and the lobsters and there's all this chaos, the feminine chaos. The hierarchy organization thing in particular, this kind of irks me. Christians have a worldview that's informed by their stupid book that tells them hierarchy is good, that authority is good, and submission is good, and deference is good. Like, all of these things are just like, these are the peak, is when you can be trampled on. Unbelievably, Christians do not behave this way, but they sure do see the world this way, in that there is a structure to it, that there's an order, and that it's a way that it is because of God. Therefore, it must be good. Truth Known is coming at this from this design idea that he also threw chaos in at the very end. That was quite a curveball. There's a lot of fallacies you could probably pin this to, right? I would say the hierarchy idea is an appeal to nature fallacy. It doesn't mean that it's good. Not everything is hierarchical. Not everything is organized. And it doesn't mean anything. You do it when it makes sense. In my opinion, it doesn't make a lot of sense most of the time to have hierarchy. I think databases are fine to be hierarchical, that sort of thing. Like, I'm fine with concepts. I think hierarchy of people doesn't make sense. It sounded like that was also just like an appeal to incredulity, right? Of just saying like, oh, we can't really understand this. It's so complicated. God.
A loving God? Kids with cancer dying?
well, what I see, you see a perfect creation, but an imperfect humanity. A humanity that left the original design that God had.
I don't see a perfect creation. What the are you talking about? I see a huge amount of waste of space where nothing is happening. I see a huge amount of areas where nothing can live. I see a lot of things that live and die in horrible pain their entire lives. That's not perfect. Their presuppositions are just leaking all over the place. This idea that, like, you look around, or you just look at the trees. Look at the
Right.
trees,
And
dude.
for me, I believe everyone's going to worship something, right? Whether you worship money or power or
And this old
sex
chestnut.
or something, everyone worships something. And to me,
See, this is what people that worship things believe. They have to believe this because they cannot wrap their minds around the idea that some people do not actually worship things. Also, he's going to make an equivocation here about the word worship, almost definitely.
Christianity just makes the most sense. I'm not saying 100% of the things are explainable, but like a lot of questions people ask, like, well, why is God allowing kids to die of cancer? Why is God allowing
No, because
kids to starve?
it seemed like you were saying that was expected.
Well, when we fell into sin.
Just one presupposition after another. So they're saying it makes the most sense. They don't know everything. Thanks again for confirming that. Nah, that's kind of a straw man. They said they're not sure if they can't. How can I possibly know? And like, I don't know. That wishy-washiness bothers me because, for one thing, you're telling me you believe in a God. I feel like this is the thing that Christians are always doing. Christians often, where you want to say things like, how can you not want to investigate the most important thing the most crucial question of life. In fact, I should have this face on. How do you not want to look into the mysteries of the universe and understand them? To the Christians that ask this question, I say, well, you should be going to college, and then you'll learn a lot more about the universe, and you'll understand a lot more about the universe. The Bible doesn't have these answers, but I do understand the, wanting to know things. I think that curiosity is a really good thing. The problem is that when you load it up into God, when you wrap this position into God, curiosity, it actually just becomes I actually know this, and you should know this as well. And why aren't you curious about the thing that I'm curious about? I want to tell you all about it. But then to take this, wishy-washy, like, but actually, I don't know, and I'm not here to tell you. This is just what I found to be true. That's one of the worst. What my truth is.
And that stuff happens. It's not God wanted it to happen. It's just a
Well,
reality.
why
of
did
what
God
happens.
make it a function of reality?
Well, when you look at reality, right? But if you just take the concept of it, right?
Do you take it
The
literally?
world, to an extent.
So do you believe in young Earth creationism?
You mean like 7,000 years old?
Yeah.
Like
Appreciate the
Earth?
subscription. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I do believe. I don't believe it's 4 billion. I mean, it's just like I don't know the exact age of it, but it's just like a lot of things, like the evolutionary theory, for instance.
So
right?
you deny science?
Well, it depends on the science. I question things.
For somebody whose account is called Truth Known, do they know anything, and have they said anything true at all? It's all been conjecture and questions and mysteries and things they just believe have to be true. This is the exact kind of attitude that is ruining the world. People that believe they know everything, and they're just asking questions. This person's not here to actually discuss this. This person's here to try to weasel and just spout off some nonsense. They just want to make sure that everyone sees have I thought about how complex the universe is? Have I thought about these things? Ooh, big questions. They have no answers.
I think everyone should question things. It doesn't mean that everything you hear is correct. Or
You think
everything you hear is
scientists aren't
wrong.
doing that?
I can question them. I mean, I have a right to question them, don't I? I mean,
But do you think scientists aren't doing that?
I think they question things, but I think life is about constantly questioning the reality that you're in.
No, it is not. Life is not about constantly questioning reality. Come on, are you for real? I don't think that that's the point of life, nor do I think that you should be doing it all the time. This person is down a deep rabbit hole of nonsense, right? They're literally saying scientists question things, but shouldn't they be questioning things a little bit more? Why are they coming to conclusions that I've come to? Seems like they're not questioning enough. That's what they're saying. It's a wild position to take, but it is what a conspiracy theorist has to believe, is that everyone else is actually the sheep. They're all blind, and they don't understand what's happening, and they can't see through the bullshit, and they're all just buying into it, man. It's really obnoxious because, when you confront them with the evidence that is not happening, and you confront them with actual reality, they will say, no, 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 hold on, no, no, you're not being open-minded enough. You're not questioning things enough. What? Hold on, how are you coming to different conclusions? I'm questioning, you must not be questioning. This is the position, and it's wrong. It's not how you question things. It's not skepticism when you deny facts and reality in favor of the questions that I ask and the answers that I already presuppose.
And trying to look at the complexity and make an accurate assumption of what you see. Now, like for instance, with evolution, right? I believe in microevolution. So that means species evolving within species. Like humans, like our appendix has gotten smaller over generations.
Oh, and you're gonna say
Because
kinds.
there's less of a need for it because, I don't know, 5,000 years ago we'd be eating like sticks and rocks, so we would need an appendix that was very big. Over time it has shrunk. So I believe in microevolutions within species where species change due to their environment to make themselves.
You believe in microevolution?
Microevolution within species. I don't
Well, then I
believe
think
that
you'd be
apes turned to humans.
very happy to hear that macroevolution is just micro plus time. So if you believe in time and you believe in microevolution, you also believe in macro.
Well, I don't believe apes turned into humans. I don't believe that.
Well, we are great apes, right? I mean, that's
We are
just a
similar to them.
biological
We are
fact.
similar to them. Yeah.
It's just a biological fact, right?
Look, I don't know probably enough to be like, yeah, I 100% understand all the science behind this. It just makes the most sense. Like, it's the most logical explanation. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's true or not. It really doesn't impact me a hell of a lot. It impacts Christians and it destroys their whole thing. You could come to me and be like, actually, we're all from aliens. Actually, we're in a simulation. These things are all possible. We're from the Christian God. Doesn't seem possible at all. Like, that is just doesn't even seem to be on the table. Evolution is on the table, and it seems to be the most evidentiary thing that we have. We have all these lineages of skeletons and things that show its transformation. We have all these DNA and all the biological things that are aligned with apes. To me, it just seems very obvious. It seems truth known, since everything is so obvious. You just look at the trees. Well, look at the fossils. Look at the science. To come to this conclusion, you have to believe conspiracy. You have to believe that the world is lying to you about everything, and they're not questioning it. And you're the one that has the answers, and you're the special person that understands. And oh, it's because of God. Actually, I have a pipeline to the man upstairs. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And if this person wasn't motivated, that had motivated reasoning, if truth known, knew anything, and had any truths, they wouldn't be doing this at all. This is
We're part
embarrassing.
of we have the same common ancestors as what you would associate with other types of apes on this planet. All right, but yeah,
But
you
I
can
want to
continue.
ask you. It's I know. So I think you said you're agnostic. You think it's possible that there's something out there, but you're not 100% certain
Yeah,
either way.
it's not the Christian God though.
Okay. No. What is?
It's so incredible. The argument that Truth Known was almost assuredly gearing into is I would guess the oh my god, it's like one of the worst ones. Hold on. It's like
Pascal's wager.
it's basically just this idea that well, you wouldn't if you saved the sorry, isn't it better to choose a god and be wrong than it would be to not choose God and be wrong? Like,
The
and it's
Christian God
complete
to you?
nonsense.
Like, what do you see it as?
Perfect, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good being that created the universe.
Mm-hmm. So you don't believe there's an all-powerful being that created the universe?
I don't think that there's an all-power. No, I know.
You don't. Okay. So I mean, if you think about it, like hierarchy, right? Like
We're back to hierarchies, huh?
if we come from like me or you, we are not the most powerful beings in the universe. There are forces out there that are greater than us. Like a mayor would have more power than I do. A governor would have more power than I do. A president would have more power than they do. And above the president of the United States, for instance, there are forces that have power over them.
Is it the Jesus Christ? What are you talking about? Some of these things that he just mentioned, they're hierarchies that we have created. These do not exist in nature. There are no mayors, there are no presidents in nature, and it doesn't matter. We made them up. Won't have to argue you for this. Turtle's trying to get to. There's a natural hierarchy to the world. We live in its hierarchy, therefore it's good. That's just kind of presupposed, I think. And there's someone over everybody, forces of power over us. Who's to say there's not an ultimate force of power at the very top? It makes sense because everything's a hierarchy. Not everything is a hierarchy, and we invented those things. Those are offices that are held by people. They're not magic. It's not like this person. Is this a monarchist? Like he has to be, right? He has
There
to
are
be a
forces
monarchist
that
at this point.
manipulate them into certain behaviors. There's people with money that can influence certain decisions.
I know Rally is. He's talking about the. Is that what you're talking about? The people that influence. I was joking about this. Hold on, we're going back a little bit.
So, I mean, if you think about it like hierarchy, right? Like, if we come from like me or you, we are not the most powerful beings in the universe. There are forces out there that are greater than us. Like, A mayor would have more power than I do. A governor would have more power than I do. A president would have more power than they do. And above the president of the United States, for instance, there are forces that have power over them. There are forces that manipulate them into certain behaviors. There's people with money that can influence certain decisions. And beyond them, there's things that influence them. So if you look at everything from a hierarchy perspective, the most powerful force out there you don't personally know. And I know there's a lot of Christians that say, well, I know God. I'm a spiritual sniper. Like they say all this stuff. And a lot of it is delusion.
What?
But the way I see it is there is hierarchy in the universe. There is forces out there that manipulate our reality. Like you've heard.
Dude just described capitalism. Sounded a lot like an anti-Semitic little trope John dropped in there. But, I'm surprised he didn't get to the bankers. He's describing capitalism. It's not mysterious. It's not a force of nature. It's wrong. It's bad. We need to get rid of it. He likes it. He's in favor. He thinks it's actually just. He thinks that's how the world was meant to be and it's natural. And therefore God. Like, it's none of the craziest arguments I've ever heard. But honestly, it is an argument that I think most Christians believe. They just don't normally, they're not conspiracy pilled enough to like get to this weird place. I'm like, oh yes, the hierarchies are here, and actually, I like the hierarchy and the power that people have, and the book says that that's good, and God must be at the top, therefore, and you just look
You've
around
probably
at the
heard of stories.
hierarchies.
There's been people that have had stage 4 cancer and they get miraculously healed. And there's no logical explanation, or there's somebody that
So we don't have an explanation.
I
That
hear a
doesn't mean
lot of
it's
stories.
supernatural explanation. That doesn't mean it's magic.
Well, it's something we don't understand. It isn't what we
Yeah,
don't
but just
understand
because
that's magic
just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's a supernatural being that created the universe, right? That's the God of the gaps fallacy.
But it's a force. I mean, something did it. It just didn't happen.
No, it's not a force.
Again, how do you know that it was a creator being?
Well, how do you know it's not? I mean, you
Well,
could go back
I
and
don't
forth.
posit a particular model, right? You're the one positing one.
I am the one positing the Christian God, right? And I'm not saying I'm 100% perfect person. I don't think anybody is.
We know you're not perfect. I don't know why that's being smuggled in. It's pretty dishonest, to be honest, because the kind of implying that Parker's argument is you're not good enough to make this argument. It's some weird straw man of like, hey, look, I'm just asking questions. I'm not perfect. Why are you attacking me?
But I think on a logical
Yeah, Kobe,
perspective,
thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I just didn't want to cut them off. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
it's just from a perspective of mine. I guess basically, like, if you think of God, right? Let's say there's a rural village in Africa and there's a kid dying of some infection, right? And this infection, it can be cured with modern medicine, right? And let's say the witch doctor in that village, they're praying to
This
this
seems
god, they're doing
extremely
all kinds of
racist.
stuff, nothing's working. Then this helicopter comes down. These people in hazmat suits that we know as scientists from the CDC give the kid this injection or the cure to whatever virus he has, and then the people go back into the helicopter and leave, and this kid gets better. And no one in that village was healed from this before, but when these people from the sky came down and gave this kid an injection to cure whatever illness he had, he was cured, and people would worship that.
What is the point of what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, when you think of God, it's just a power that's greater than us.
That's stupid. So it is describing as a cargo cult. I can't remember if this is just apocryphal or not, but it's the idea that, like, some backwards tribe or whatever seems really racistly coded, but that during different wars and things, the U.S. would come and bring aid to them, and they didn't understand the miraculous technology or whatever. And then when the U.S. stopped coming, or when whoever was coming to bring aid stopped coming, they would try to bring back the aid by doing superstitious rituals or whatever. It's actually an argument against Truth Noun's position. It doesn't make any sense to believe that this is the right way to do things. I think Truth Noun is saying people believe things, therefore they're true, Or, in fact, let's see, he said he tried to summon up, but it didn't seem to follow to me.
And
Let's
no
go
one
back
in
a
that
little
village
bit.
was healed from this before, but when these people from the sky came down and gave this kid an injection to cure whatever illness he had, he was cured. And people would worship that.
What is the point of what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, when you think of God, it's just a power that's greater than us. It's not.
They're just trying to say some nonsense about, like, they're equivocating. This whole argument is about equivocation. It's about, is there some kind of a word, a language that I can use that can get you closer to being in my cult? Because if I can just get you to kind of agree that we think the same things, maybe I can get you to stop thinking the other things I don't think and think the things that I think only, right? And this is the first step. Is I can get you to say, actually, there is an all-powerful creator and I just can't identify it. It's stupid. I don't even understand why this person thinks this is effective. Who would this be effective on? I don't know. Stupid people like him,
It's
I guess?
something that we
We're
can
talking
become.
about the Christian God.
The Christian God, yes. Which I
We're
believe
not
makes
just
the
talking
most
about like whatever you think the other notion of God would be. Do you believe in Christianity?
sense. Yes.
Okay, so again, I would just say that it's incoherent because it is the case that you'd be subject to things like you have to explain evil existing in the world, right? I don't think you can explain why God would have a reason to create even in the first place. There's plenty of issues. So there's like an issue of divine paralysis.
So you want to talk about like the evil in the world? Like, why is that allowed to exist?
Yeah, like technically, it would be the case that like all things considered, everything in the world you would consider, right, is good because God is allowing it. You believe that if God would have prevented it, that it would be bad, right? But since God allows it, it's good for God to allow it.
Well, with that argument, if God created us, what right does the creation have to say the creator was wrong?
See, it's just such a weird, fashy talking point. This idea of authority that cannot be questioned and that is all powerful and all ultimate, right? I think that's like a super bad brainworm to get. I honestly do not know how somebody can say, oh, it's fine if you create something, you can just like with it. Like, this cavalier attitude towards harm and pain tells me a lot about how this person probably treats animals, probably treats women, probably treats anyone that they consider to be below them. Like, there's a hierarchy, and people need to know their place.
You know, like if you're making
Okay, so
pottery,
if there was a creator being, an evil creator being that, right, commanded you to kill infants and things like that, would you say that that was evil?
well, it didn't. I mean, I haven't been directly communicated to this being. You know,
Do you think they would be evil in that circumstance? Like, say, if they commanded you to kill infants?
there are evil beings out there, yeah, but I don't think.
No, but like, would you say that
that
like that creator being would be doing something evil because it's his creation?
Well, if it's his, I mean, if he made the creation, I would say it's evil. But if he decides to do it,
So it's still
nothing I can
evil
do
even though
about
he's
it.
a creator, right?
According to my perspective, yeah, but that's not
Yeah.
the
So have you read
creator
1
that I
Samuel
worship.
15:3?
Here's a quick tip. You don't need to tell us it's your perspective or your opinion or, that you don't know everything or that you're not perfect. We don't need to know those things because we assume them. I assume them about literally every person I talk to or ever hear from. I assume you do not know everything and that you're not perfect and that the things you say are your opinion.
You'll have to refresh me on it. What's it mean?
Yeah.
What's
I
it
got
say?
you. Yeah. 1 Samuel 15:3 says, "Now go attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys." So God quite literally commands Saul to kill, right, infant babies. If you were in that circumstance and God commanded you to kill these infants, would you consider that evil?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm commanding,
So would that be
the
what's
army.
expected, giving an all good being?
Well, and all good. Well, the thing is, good and wrong. There's right and wrong, according to us. Then
Yeah, no,
there's right
but
and
no.
wrong.
What? Also, you believe in objective morality, right? Some stupid objective morality from your God? Okay, let's see.
I'm
How
asking you, would
is
that
he
be
gonna die on this
expected
hill?
under the worldview that there's an all good being that created us? That they command people to kill infants?
I mean, there is. Okay, let's. According to no, there wouldn't.
No, that's not expected. So if it's not expected and this is unexpected, Well, then it seems like your God is unexpected to exist.
You lost me there. I don't get
Because it is the case that this exists in our world.
But the thing is, like, if God spoke obviously to you, then you know God's real, right? Like, a lot of people, they kill infants, they kill people because they think God
Oh,
told
no,
them
God.
to.
Wait, do you believe the Bible is an accurate depiction of God?
Pretty accurate, yeah. I don't think it's 100. I mean, there's
Okay.
an apocryphal.
This is also pretty crazy to me. If you don't believe some aspect of the Bible, how do you know which part of it you should believe? It all comes down to feelings and internal mumbo jumbo. It's nothing to do with, oh, I looked into this and actually this thing makes the most sense, or else you'd be like, wow, they added things. They added things that Jesus said. Seems like this is fake. When I hear that, I'm like, wow, Susie, this is what the yeah, this argument that's just like, I don't know if it's all true. Maybe, whatever. It just, you have nothing to base this on. You have nothing. Why, once you get rid of the Bible, I don't know how
Books
you
that
have
didn't
anything.
even get into the Bible, right? I mean, there
Okay,
was the
so how
Council
could
of
this
Nicaea that
possibly
made
be
it.
referencing an all good being if they commanded them to kill infants? You don't believe it
Well,
could be. That's unlikely.
that's not
So
the
why
all
would you
good being.
consider Christianity as likely to be an all good being that you want to worship?
I believe Jesus was the all good being.
Jesus and God are the same, right?
Well, there's a Trinity. I mean, there's God. There's
Are they different or are they the
Jesus.
same?
They're a Trinity. Well, they're the Holy Spirit, the Trinity.
Are they
God,
different
Father,
or are
Holy
they the
Spirit.
same?
We had to get through
They
that.
are the same and they're different.
You had to
They're
let
both.
them know.
Now that makes no sense.
Well, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. I mean, you
Okay,
look at the world.
I'll
This
ask
whole
you
world
this
doesn't
way.
make
I'll ask
sense.
you this way. Are they logically identical?
Come on, come the on. He just say the word doesn't make sense. This truth known is unraveling. They have no
To each other.
justification for what they believe.
You mean like in looks or in like?
In every aspect, logically identical.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Here, let me ask you this question: is God logically identical to God?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if Jesus is God and the Father is God, they're logically identical to each other. Because God
Yes.
is logically identical to God.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're logically identical to each other, right, how is there difference between God the Father and God the Son in terms of one being human and the other one not being?
Well, no, there's not.
Wait, so how are they logically identical but also different?
Well,
So
one
God
came
can
in
be
human
different than
form.
God?
I don't know.
That sounds like two different gods to me.
Trying to grasp the concept. You're very smart. It's just I'm trying to grasp. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
I
like
mean-
one god. I'm counting three gods here, actually, because the Holy Spirit has different properties as well.
I'd like to commend Truth Known for saying that Parker is smart, and he sounded sincere. It didn't sound like he's blowing smoke. A lot of times people will say, they'll try to butter you up, especially because they want to like pitch some other position at you. They want a goalpost shift. And so they'll start by telling you how wonderful you are, how great you are, how smart you are. Then I'll be like, don't you agree with this instead? Some nonsense like that. And Truth Known is literally just saying, like, I can't understand what you're saying, and you're too smart for me. Well,
I
yeah,
can count
laughing at through this.
3 and 1.
distinctions. And if there are distinctions, they can't possibly be logically identical.
I mean, yeah. But look, I don't know how to answer those questions, right? I mean, I don't know. You're smarter than me on that, but it's, for me, how I see it, right? There is evil, and there's an evil force, right? There's a force that is trying to destroy
The dark
people,
side.
destroy nations, destroy marriages, destroy everything.
Destroy marriages? They just gotta sneak in nonsense. Like, also, yeah, destroy nations, fuck borders, fuck all this nonsense bullshit that this person is trying to uphold. Fuck
And there's
you.
also a force that's trying to help you.
I don't know why
help
you're thinking
you.
it's some supernatural thing. I don't know why that provides any broader explanation of the data set.
Well, it's a greater force than what we understand.
Okay,
like-
so
like, why does
but
someone-
wait, there's a greater thing happening that we don't fully comprehend. That doesn't at all mean anything to do with Christianity, religion, or anything like that. That's just
Well,
we
I
don't
think
know what
it's
the
a
explanation
journey.
is, and we're learning these things as we become more developed.
Also, prove this force? I don't know if Parcher's letting them get away with this, but like, he's just ascribing this supernatural force exists that's out there in the world and it's destroying everything that we hold dear. And dollars to donuts think they're talking about communism or some bullshit, right? It's the feminists, it's the communists, it's the lesbians and the trans people, it's the leftists and the Democrats, it's Joe Biden for sure.
And we have more access to technology, right?
I'm not against technology and learning more. I'm just saying, just
100% this
because
guy's against technology.
I think the problem is there's people that think they understand everything,
No,
right?
we
Like
don't.
there's people that, I mean, there's people that do. Maybe
Is it like the people that call themselves truth known? Do you think those kinds of people might think they understand everything? God damn, the projection with Christians is off the
you
charts.
don't, but there's people that do. And because of that, that's what the issue is, right? Like if I'm trying to advocate the Christian God, right? Like I think the biggest question people would have is why are really bad things happening in the world when there's a perfect God, right? Why is that happening? Why is God allowing? If God's all perfect, if he's all knowing,
No, it just wouldn't
why
even make sense for God to create, right? And the reason why I say that is because perfection is better than imperfection. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the state we exist in right now is imperfect?
Due to us, yes.
Yeah, even if it is due to us. God goes from a state that is all things considered perfect, the best possible state, right? The most preferred state, right? To a world in which will be imperfect, right? So that's a less preferred state. So how could God have preferred to go to a position in which is less preferable to himself?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he'd make it. I mean, the thing is, I mean, for me and for you, there's a lot of things we don't know, right? There's a lot of faith we have to have based on what we see in the world,
Back
right?
to the argument.
And
Fragility?
I look at like in my mindset, right? I look at the complexity of the human body. I look at the complexity of how it all functions. I look at the possibility that you and I just happen to be here at this moment, that I happen to be speaking to somebody else. Like the complexity in our lives. It's tough for me to grasp that that's all random chance and there wasn't a force.
It is unfortunate that it's too hard for you to grasp. It does not mean that a God exists, and this is the craziest, stupidest thing to believe. I think it's very, very stupid. If your justification for nonsense, for a reality that is beyond this reality, is I just don't understand this reality, there must be more reality. You're insane. Try to understand this reality. Stop around in this nonsense.
That was behind that. There wasn't some programming or some advanced mind that made all this. It's just tough for me to grasp that all of this just happened, you know, and there wasn't something behind it.
Is it not tough to grasp of a perfect being, especially when we can conceptually prove that there would be no reason for them to like create?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's something you'd have to ask that being. I think, like what Elon Musk said, I think what he's...
What the f are you talking about? Why is God more easy for you to grasp than reality? That's the problem, Jar. Leaning into conspiracy and religion because you're afraid of reality, and it's easier for you to cope. That's all this is.
I mean, that's something you'd have to ask that being. I think, like what Elon Musk said, I think what he said was great. And he said, in regards to humanity, we...
Elon Musk, the great philosopher of our time. Yeah, this is so right-wing. They're so
aren't smart enough yet to know the right questions to ask. Like, we aren't technologically advanced enough to really know what to ask.
How does
That is what a stupid person thinks is a deep question. That is a shower thought for a 14-year-old. We're not even capable of asking the right questions. That's how stupid we are.
how does that mean Christianity is valid?
Well, I look at, you know how like in a court case, you look at evidence and you make a decision, you can't be 100% sure, right? End of the day, you look at evidence, this person was here at this time.
And I'm saying the evidence indicates there would be no creation.
Well, that's the evidence you see. But that's not the evidence that I see.
So then do you have a response to that?
Like, why would a perfect God create
Yeah.
an imperfect reality?
Why would they create in general? Because even if it was perfect, it would be the case that God would be indifferent from perfection to perfection. Both those states would be just as valuable as each other. So there would be no reason God would create then. And you would say God creates with reason, right? Otherwise, he's just irrationally creating. So. Okay, so then you think God's a rational creator, right? So then that means that if there's no reason for God to create, that means your God wouldn't exist.
Well, I don't believe there's not a reason for him to create. There's a reason. I
What's
just don't know what it is.
Okay, so there is a reason. I just don't know what this reason is for God to create, right? That's your claim. Well, the issue there is, if you're saying that our world is imperfect, well, then it would be the case, right? That it would be the case that this world is less desirable. You've already established that it's less preferable.
100%. Oh yeah.
Okay, so God wouldn't have preferred to go from a state in which he is perfect to a state in which there is imperfection, or there is going to be imperfection, as that would be a less preferable state of affairs. Okay, if you're going to say it's more preferable, then you're saying that sometimes imperfection can be more preferable than perfection, which is contradictory, because imperfection is the existence of flaws, right, or lack of a desirable traits.
There are flaws in this planet, and it was definitely not desirable to be here, right?
So it's imperfect. So why would God choose to go from a state of all things in which is perfect to a state of all things in which is not perfect?
Well, if you want my theory on it, right? And this is just...
Yes. He's talking to you. You're the only one he's talking to. We understand. It's your perspective. I surely hope that you're not just reading a script, but, you know, I've seen Christians do that too, so...
My theory. I don't have biblical proof for something I can show.
I'm asking this as a question. It's contradictory, okay? So it's less desirable, it's less preferable. So you can't prefer to do something less preferable.
But not initially. Initially, it was perfect. Initially.
I understand, but he's all-knowing, right?
He is all-knowing.
So he knew that it was going to be imperfect. And even if it was perfect, then there wouldn't be reason for him to create, because it is the case that that both worlds are just as valuable as each other. And if both worlds are just as valuable as each other, there would be no reasoning.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know the reason, right? I'll say that. I don't know the reason, right? But it's just, like, for me, if you want me to summarize why I do, and I think everyone, it's good to have conversations like this, because it...
No, he's not asking for a testimony. Why do you think he's asking for a testimony? There's no need to summarize the things you believe. That's all you've been doing. All you've been doing is making claims and then saying, well, I don't see how it could be any other way. And then Parker says, what about this contradiction? And then you say, look, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I believe. Hey, buddy, no. Don't attack me. I'm just the messenger. Just asking questions.
Challenges worldviews, and it makes you think outside the box, especially for me. Because it's so difficult to really do that in this day and age. It's just, if I was to summarize why, right? Why do I believe it? Yes, he's a perfect being. He made the world perfect, but he knew it was going to become imperfect. Why would he make it? Why would he do that? I think the reason is... I don't know. I mean, it's just... I think he made it perfect. I mean, like, maybe they want to learn.
No, if it goes from perfect to perfect, again, there's no reason, because they're just as valuable as each other.
He started talking as though he knew what he was going to say. And then his brain cut up his mouth, and he was just like, wait, I don't know. Wait, why did that happen? Why didn't... Hold on. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. But that's, of course, not the conclusion. The conclusion is, can't know. Oh, well.
Then your God wouldn't create, because, again, he's a reasonable creator. He creates with reason.
I believe so.
Okay, again, so if there is no reason, because both states are perfect, well, then there's a contradiction with what you just prior said, right? Because there would be a reality in which there would indicate no reason.
I think there is a reason, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, again, as it relates to a reason, you would then say that would be like a desire, right?
there's a desire to make
God
something.
desires or prefers this reality or this next state of affairs more than the state of affairs in which he existed in prior. That's the only thing that could explain a move in states, is if there was a change in preference, or if there was a greater preference. And to say that there's a greater preference would be to deny the notion that God is perfect, because God being perfect is indicating that it's the most preferable state, right? Because it's flawless, as defined by Psalms 18:30.
Well, God is flawless, yeah.
Yeah,
But like, so like, because of these arguments, is this why you don't believe it?
Truth Known was not listening. I think he just heard a thing about flawless. Like, oh yeah, well, 100%. God is flawless. Yes, I fall in line. I immediately fall in line on that. And then he's pivoting. So this is why you don't believe. I just need to destroy this argument. Okay.
Yeah, I believe
Think
it's
about that.
it's fake. Yes, this is why I say it's fake, is because I think pretty clearly you can demonstrate, right, that there would be no creation, right, under this worldview.
So like, so here's what you're basically saying: if God was perfect, there's no reason for him to make an imperfect creation, because it wouldn't make sense.
Well, yeah, because he wouldn't desire to engage in an action which is less desirable. That's contradictory. So he couldn't do that.
Yes, according to that argument.
And then
yes.
if it was perfect, well, then he would have no reason to create. So that contradicts the idea that he's a reasonable creator, that he creates with reason. And if he's creating without reason, well, then that means that he's creating randomly, which is non-intentional, right? And if it's non-intentional, that means that God, in the context of Genesis, isn't an intentional creator. So it doesn't seem like you're believing in the God of Genesis. Appreciate the little crown. Thank you so much.
Well, so for you, if God didn't create this, right? How did we get here? Like, what's your best idea of like how did we get here?
No clue.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I mean, if you had to guess, right? I mean, like, things
I
for me,
don't
like,
even have a guess.
so you just think it could have just randomly happened, kind of? I mean,
They always want to argue against the straw man of, do you believe the world came out of nothing, that you came and poofed into existence? Disregard that that's what this person believes. Truth Known believes that God poofed everything into existence, and that everything requires a creator because it's so complicated, but God, who is so complicated, does not require a creator because it's God. And God was not poofed into existence because he's God. Everything needs to be created. Everything has a cause, but God. Special pleading harbors it all the way down. They need to project and take this idea, but you believe that everything came out of nothing. I believe in fairy tale nonsense, isn't it? Doesn't that make more sense? Come on. It's frustrating that Truthman has a straw man built up in their mind. At least they are kind of probing. They are legitimately asking some questions of Parker to try to get Parker's view. When Parker says, I don't know, they continue to say, well, can I insert a view into this that I can argue against? Because I know how to argue against this.
I don't know. I don't know if it's random. I don't know if it's intentional.
well, do you think your life, what you've experienced, has been random, or do you think there's been intentionality?
Do I think there's been intentionality in my life? I don't believe that there's an outside force creating intentionality. I don't have any reason to believe that. I believe what I have reason to.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I could believe that I'm going to be a Pokemon master when I die.
You might, I
Message.
mean,
Thank you so much.
you never know. I mean, you never know.
The
I
glasses are
want to
funny
be the very best that no one ever was.
But it's like, there's like one thing, like, I guess, like, have you ever had, like, you have like feelings of people, right? Like, you know how like you get vibes or you get like intuitions about things?
Yeah, I think that's all experience based. What I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. Like, let me
Or
give
just
you an
random
example
chance.
with me. Right, like, let me give you an example with me. My cousin and I, when we were in Indiana, there was a bunch of these like old homes and stuff. It was like we were like in the middle of nowhere, right? They have a farm and there was this abandoned property, right?
Yeah.
And me and him just decided to go explore this property. We're like 9-10 years old, right? And I go in there, and I never forget this instance. Me and him go in there. It's dark. It's scary. There's like these leaves growing on the walls. The moment I walk in this room, my neck feels like it's being choked, right? And he's not there. and it's like I'm like having a very, very, very tough time breathing. And I walk out of that room, I'm able to breathe again. And
You know, there
I
could have been
leave.
something in that room that was allergenic.
No, but just
Mold,
listen. But
gas
no,
leak.
listen.
I wouldn't
It
first think
could have been.
spiritual attack.
I mean, it could have. Yeah, there's definitely rational explanations.
Panic?
But this is the thing. This is the thing. I look up later on that house, it was a murder suicide, and the
I don't believe you. And just say it. I don't think this happened. This is a nonsense story about a ghost house with a murder suicide where you felt like you were choked when you're 9 or 10 years old. I don't think this happened. Give me any evidence. Like, show me the newspaper clipping. I'd love to even see that this house exists. I'm sure it's long demolished. I'm sure the newspaper's been lost to time. Who knows? It could be anywhere.
person got choked in there, and I felt like I was getting choked.
People that say they have these experiences, how does it not consume you? That's the thing I don't understand. And that's why I think it's bullshit. You know it. Even if he doesn't believe he's lying, he knows deep down it's bullshit, or he'd devote his life to figuring this out. Instead, he's on TikTok talking about God, saying that actually God explains this. I don't need to look any further into this. No, it's cope. It's 100% cope. If these things are real, should be able to prove it. You should be able to find evidence. It should be very easy. And you can never do it. You can never recreate it. It's all in your mind.
And it's like, yeah, it could have been mold, it could have been a lot of things, but like, I think, yeah, as you're right, the first thing, like, I probably shouldn't think it was spiritual. Like, the first thing
Like
I
I would,
think is
the
like,
first thing that comes to my mind wouldn't be like, oh, yep, it's Satan.
you're
Like,
probably right.
I'm sorry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I probably should have looked more into it. Definitely could have been mold.
Let's say the house exists. Let's say they went to this house. I don't think that later they found out. Why did they go to this house? None of the story makes any sense. I think somebody told them that this had happened, and they're like, "Oh, I know this spooky house." You know, it probably was like really musty, and truth known is like, I can't breathe. I attribute this to spiritual forces.
You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely the first thing we should think is a natural explanation for sure, right? And I think there is a tendency when we don't have a natural explanation to automatically assume there's a supernatural explanation.
That's what doesn't make sense to me. I think that's kind of like a cultural thing that we're immediately, assuming a supernatural explanation because we don't understand it.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, everyone, like, the first thing, like, religious people or anyone spiritual, I think there's like a desire for it to be true, or at least something to be going on. So like people, the first thing they're gonna think is, oh, it's spiritual, instead of it's like, oh, it's actually mold.
I think what the desire is to know like what's gonna happen to us when we're gonna die, and to know that we're gonna be okay. I think it's a fear of death, right? A lot of those things, because the fear of the unknown. So I think that then that gets people to then like look for these different types of beliefs, look for answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all
it
looking.
Doesn't mean they do so rationally,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely, there's cults, there's people that get all,
Well, Christianity
really worked up.
is technically a bigger cult.
I think it's how you use it. I mean, there's some people that definitely you could say are in a cult,
No, like by definition, it's technically a bigger cult. Like the only distinction between cults and between Christianity is just the number of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a different number of people. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, like, have you ever? I mean, the thing is, like, obviously, there's things we don't understand, right? But like, do you think it's like possible that like when people die, their like energy can remain like in a space, like a ghost? Like, do you think that stuff's like possible?
I don't know.
Because I wanted to confront the cult thing too strongly, I guess. And make sure no one knows they're not going to be able to dispute that. There's no real reason to believe that any of these religions are anything but cults. I don't know how anyone looks at this and says, yeah, this is just actually part of how things should be.
Yeah.
I don't see a contradiction necessarily, but like I think that's unlikely.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. It's strange. It's like,
Because, I mean, I think people just want to like live like Ghostbusters now.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
No, I get that. Yeah, no. It's like there's a lot of it that's like, I think it's like natural. It's like the more logical you are, right? Like how you just said earlier. Like when I went to that house, like it could have been mold. Like you pointed out natural
yeah,
logical
people think that there could
explanations.
be possibly zombies or something like that, you know? People think
Yeah,
all of these different explanations. I mean, people, when we first were getting cars, they thought it would like maybe hurt your internal organs because you're moving around so much and
yeah,
moving so
no, yeah,
fast.
for sure.
And I mean, like, we think all of these different things could possibly be the case. There's probably some evolutionary reason why we do this, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it's like it leads to a greater likelihood of survival. But I mean, I think that we have to like think past this, like use reason, because that's going to be able to differentiate between different claims. And especially a lot of people who are religious rely upon faith, right? And someone who, say, who's schizophrenic would be justified in believing their delusions. Then they have no ability to differentiate between what's reality and what's not under that standard. And that's why I think that it's not an applicable standard for most people, and that we would need something to differentiate between these claims. And then if we use something to differentiate between the claims, then it clearly shows us that we shouldn't hold to Christianity, whether it relates to probability or even possibility.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's a lot to think about. I mean, I think it's realistically like I think you have to look like logically like I think like when people's logic runs out, they go into spirituality, right? Like if you're like I don't know, like president or something, and there's like a giant like hurricane coming to like wipe out somewhere. Like in the beginning, you're like, okay, let's get like let's get food here, let's get aid workers. You're trying to prepare, right? But then like let's say like here's a perfect analogy. Like you're in a plane, right, and the pilots just die or whatever, right? And it's like the
What? We're switching? Are we just
plane's
switching
going down.
analogies?
Like your logical ability to save the situation is kind of gone, and that's when it's like only God can help us now.
Jesus Christ, what the are you talking about? So I think this argument is logic can't save you. That's it. Logic is bad because we're in a plane that's going down. No, we're in a plane that's going down, and you're praying to a God that doesn't exist, and I'm saying, get the parachute. Hey, buddy, wake up. That's what's happening. These people project, and they're so delusional.
And I think is you're right. People go to that only God can help us way too soon when they haven't looked at every single logical explanation they can think of. But I think there is a point when it's like only God can help us now. Um, but it's just I mean for
No, there
me
isn't.
honestly it just makes
I'm not gifted as that point. He doesn't ever show up, so like, it's moot.
me feel better. It gives me more of a peace because like I was atheist for a while because like I asked a lot of
Yeah, I'm sure you were atheist for a while when you were 10 and you thought demons were choking you in the house of the murder-suicide.
logical questions, not as logical as you, but like it just I just felt so like empty with it. You know what I mean? Like it felt so meaningless, like life and everything, and it just
Because
felt so
you have to do it
chaotic.
yourself.
I mean,
I believe all
yeah.
of these things, and I don't have that lack of sense or meaning, right?
I mean, for me, I did
I
though.
find meaning in doing things that are going to lead towards better outcomes for other people and for like my children, everything like that. It's about what's going to be left over in society, and what is that? It's our opinions, our thoughts, right? It's how we interact with each other. Those things stick around past us being here. That's a true legacy. A true legacy is influencing the way people act in a positive light that benefits people and leads to people being negatively impacted to a lesser degree, right? That's
Yeah.
purpose, that's meaning, right? A lot of people try to do that through the context of war or fighting for their country, but oftentimes they're doing that because they want what's best for the people around them. But I think they're doing
Mhm.
so in manners in which are not necessarily, best including their interests, right? Like those
Mhm.
things
Oh
are
yeah.
not very humanitarian, right? Those things
Yeah.
often lead to like us being more negatively impacted, whether it relates to people that are sent there or the people involved in these sorts of things, in these power disputes, right? I think that things building up people, international agreements building
Yeah.
up people,
It's
working with each
religion is
other,
weaponized. Yeah.
right, right, would be significantly better impactful, right, than a lot of the things we do, right? It's about cooperation, right? And a lot
Mhm.
of people don't care about
Yeah. No, I agree.
engaging with that. And regardless of whether or not we're Christian, we rely upon that.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important what you said. I mean, but I just want to ask you this.
No, you don't. Lying through his teeth. He does not believe cooperation is important. He believes that hierarchy is important. He believes structure and organization is important. He believes that these things matter. He went through the beginning of this discussion. Was truth known laying out? Their worldview is the world is in a hierarchy. God's at the top. Things should be kept that way. That's their position. Their position is not things lead to change. That's Parker's position. Parker's position is you try to affect change for the people around you, try to make a better society. It's not Truth Known's position. He doesn't care about that. He cares about the hierarchy that his God is in charge of. And the reason I believe Truth Known is saying this, the reason Truth Known thinks they agree with this position, is because it gets them closer to getting Parker on board. That's the only reason he's capitulating. I see this all the time too. Christians agree with anything and everything. They'll say, exactly, exactly. When you make a point that goes against what they believe, they will say something, you'll refute it, and they'll say exactly. Because they're not listening and they don't care what you're saying. They want you to feel like, hey, we're actually in agreement. So can you get on board?
Final question, right? You're very logical. I know you said when you're like, the point is to make a legacy better for your kids, better for everybody around you. But like, let's say like you are dying.
It's not.
Right?
It's not to
And
be
you
like
know
legacy is not to be remembered. Legacy is to create a better state of affairs than you came here with, right?
Yes.
To make things
No, I
better than
agree.
you came here with. That's the idea.
For sure. I mean, but like, if you were dying, right? Like, I don't know. Let's say like, I don't know, car crash. Like you can tell. You know what I mean? You can tell. It's like, are you like when you're dying? Are you just gonna say like, oh, there's nothing, it's over? Or are you gonna like hope there's something? Like as illogical as it may be.
Appreciate the cap. Thank you so much. Oh, no, again, what I hope, of course, I hope there's something.
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's something good. I hope it's something not bad. I hope it's something preferable to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. But like again, that hope doesn't justify me believing that there is going to be a specific thing.
I mean, well, maybe it could just be like you're logical, like your whole life and stuff, and like you don't have to go like all in believing like the Christian God. Like you just stay logical and everything, but it's kind of like your fire insurance. You know what I mean? Like if you're dying, it's like it gives you something to feel better about. You know.
I want you to notice as well, just like I said, Truth Known is attacking the thing that he thinks is going to be the weak point to Parker, right? He thinks this is a debate. He thinks she's actually contributing something here. And when Parker said, I actually had these logical contradictions for you, and he laid them out, and then Truth Known says, aha, logic, eh? Well, wouldn't it be logical to believe in God? Gotcha there, atheist. Like, he doesn't understand logic enough. Christians especially. They just throw it around. They just throw the word around because they don't really care about the meaning of words. It's all in the end, it's all for their God. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal, they'll say and do anything. These people are brainwashed. They will do anything for their God. Anything. And that's terrifying and that's bad because it's make-believe. Doesn't make any sense. So Truth Known is trying to steer this conversation into, I can prove that logically it makes sense for you to believe in God. You'll give up on these contradictions because logic's out.
Then what did make sense to me, right? This is actually the original reason I left Christianity was, how could I justify me following this entity if it's just for fire insurance? That's not doesn't seem like an all-loving being. That's not what I would expect.
I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely like. I mean, I think in the end, people want to be like, you know, comforted and feel like they're gonna go to a better place. And it's like how I see it, like even in the Bible, it says in, I think it was in like Revelation, like
yeah,
Abraham,
we want to be comforted, but like we also have to realize that.
Why are you bringing up the Bible? I don't know why Christians think the Bible is like an authority to an atheist. He was obviously never an atheist. But he never ever questioned this, or he would say like, wait a second, Parker's not going to care what the Bible says. Parker believes it's nonsense. I was an atheist at one point. I believed it was nonsense. No, Trudno never believed anything. If he was ever anything besides a Christian, he never had any other beliefs. He's just molded into this.
We have no clue.
Right?
I know we want to live our lives in a manner in which, like, oh, I hope something is the case. I hope there's something too, right? I don't want this to be just it. That would be great if there's something better than this, right? But I'm trying to be reasonable here, right? And there is no established basis for that at all. There are plenty of things I want. Again, want to be a Pokemon master, right?
Maybe you
I'd
can.
love to
I
be
mean,
Superman. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to be able to fly. You know, but that doesn't mean that that conforms to reality.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely reality things that are not. It's not reality. I mean, there's definitely people that want to be all kinds of things, but they're not that, And it's like, I think everything's like a tool, right? It's how you use it. There's people that use Christianity the wrong way. There's people that use Islam the wrong way. There's people use.
No, no, it's not just a tool. That doesn't make any sense. You're arguing that a being exists, that a God exists. And now you're saying, actually, it's just a useful tool for life. Cough. You're such a liar. You're such a coward. Say it with your chest. Why can't you be honest? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Because you're a Christian.
Atheism the wrong way. Like, nothing's inherently, I guess, good or bad. It's just how you use the tool. And I think if you use Christianity to love others, to care for others, to give to the poor, to.
You can do all those things without Christianity. The only thing that Christianity brings to that is its bag of nonsense. None of those things require you to believe in this.
Try to build a moral lifestyle for everyone.
I could consider certain things
you.
good, but like, I mean, you can't deny all the negative things of Christianity, right? I know a lot of people like to portray this positive light of Christianity, but I can give you countless quotes in the Bible that mention literally God commanding to kill people, the sacrificing of children as it relates to people that he cares about, right?
Yeah.
Literally plenty of things in the Bible that we would say are bad and we wouldn't expect given a good being. Okay? So I don't see how we would not look at that, and we'd only look at like what's positive from it. You can get positive things from any other framework. There's people who give to charity who are atheists. Appreciate that. I see you. Thank you so much. Plenty, right? So I don't see the only way in which we could care about people is through the context of Christianity, especially when Christianity throughout the context of history has been used and weaponized to not care about people and to control people.
I mean, so is every other religion. I mean, they've been used to.
I know. I would agree. That's exactly the point I would make.
Yes, religion is harmful. Welcome. We're on the same page.
It was like with the Soviet Union, they were, atheist, and they use.
Here we go. But the commies, Parker, the commies were atheists. Oh, the commies, Parker. So you want to fight the commies?
Fear to control people too. So atheism can be weaponized as well. Like there's people.
And I would argue against that, right? But I'm not arguing on the basis of the validity of a particular truth claim, but on how they're acting in terms of authority.
Yeah, there's like a. Yeah, for sure. Everything can be weaponized the wrong way, and it's like, I think for at least for me, right. It makes me at least feel that there's something when there is some power greater than me, because it's a scary thought to think like it's on you, and it's like you're the one that's deciding whether something's right or wrong. Because if you think about it, like whatever is right and wrong is determined by who has the most power, like on this planet.
Yeah, but like, well, no, that's not who determines what's right or wrong. That's who enforces it, right?
And that can be argued that's what it is if they're in charge.
No, it does. I think that's a bad way to argue it, because plenty of things that have been in charge throughout the context of history you disagree with, right?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that you have values, and I think you care about things, and I think there are a lot of other people that have similar values and care about each other, right? And I think that over time we probably will win, as it relates to like the people who care about each other. And oftentimes that comes through the advancement of technology, right? The advancement of communications, of being able to personalize people. I think a lot of what aids into the fact that people don't personalize and value people of other countries the same as they value people in their country is because there's a lack of communication, right?
Yes.
So that's going to change, right? In the next 100 years, 200 years, that's going to be completely, drastically different.
Probably the next 20. mean, it's probably going to be
It
faster
could
than
come quicker.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be a little bit, you know,
Optimistic, yeah. A little
not
conservative
necessarily
with it,
being conservative with those estimates, you know.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely, like, we are at a time, I mean, this time in history, like, out of all the times we could have been born, I think this is the greatest time, because, like, we're literally at the point where it's like, we're either gonna come together as a planet, or we're gonna, like, self-destruct. Like, we're at that time where it's like,
Well,
big things
it
are
might
gonna
be good
happen.
for people here in America, certain people here in America, right? But I mean, for the countless people around the entire world, it's not a good time, right?
No.
There's plenty of evil in this world. There's plenty of destruction, and that wouldn't be expected given like a good being that created us. Like, there's 3.6 million children that starved to death last year,
Yeah.
right? Like, God made our biology in such a way in which we require food to eat, and that leads to children starving. When God could have made it, right, in such a way in which we didn't have a hunger bar.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of questions. There really is. There really is no easy explanation to it, you know. I just think it's the most important thing is I think it's really all of us starting to work together. I think that's the most important thing. Because there's a lot we don't understand, but as we get more technologically advanced, a lot of this chaos can probably start to go away,
Let's
you
think
know,
about it
and
this
start
way,
going for the
right?
better.
Let's think about a Minecraft world, right? And
Hmm.
in this Minecraft world, right, there's a community of people, right?
Yes.
In this community of people, there are people that restrict others from having access to any resources, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? I agree that's bad. These Minecraft people shouldn't be doing that and restricting the resources from the other people. That's a bad thing, right? But couldn't you say that, right, you could have made it in such a way in which, right, they didn't have a hunger bar? That doesn't take away from their free will, right? That still allows for
Hmm.
them to play the game, but it also means that they don't have to die and lose all their stuff, right? Because they don't have any resources, right, to feed themselves.
Hmm.
Because they're being restricted from other people, right? So couldn't you question why the coder made the reality in such a way in which you required to eat food?
But I think he made it that reality, and that almost proves to us that this is not the ultimate reality because of some of the flaws here.
Yeah, but that's a really bad thing that God made it that way, right? So then it would be good. So then the 3.6 million children that starved to death last year, is that good because God made it that way?
Well, it's not good. It's not good that they're starving to death. It's not good that they're suffering. But to an extent, that
But God
almost
created it that way.
he created us biologically to need food. Yeah, on this
Yeah,
planet
which he
here.
knows is
Yes.
going to lead to children starving to death.
Well, they are. Yeah, I mean, he.
Yeah, so
Yeah, he knows
God
that.
quite
Yeah.
literally created circumstances and starved children.
But I don't think God wanted it that way. I think that's more of us defying God.
You're saying
And
God didn't want it that way, so why did God make our
mm,
bodies in such a way in which we require food? Because if God didn't want it that way, God could have created circumstances in which this did not occur. But God created circumstances in which ensured this occurring.
well, I don't know. I mean, it's a big question. It's certainly a big question.
That's
You
a
know.
question. Wait, while you think about that for a second, I'm just gonna grab a drink real quick. Give me one
Yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
You're good.
is there anything else you want to go over, talk about specifically?
No, I mean, I think we had a. You definitely gave me things to think about. You know,
For sure.
there's definitely a lot of perspectives I don't understand. You know, especially me growing up in America. I've had a very good life so far, just like a lot of people have, and there's a lot of people out there that have a really, I mean, shitty existence. I mean, there's people that, you know, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You know, some of the situations people are born into. So
That's weird because your dad made it that way. Huh. When I wish on your worst enemy, but that God that loves us all made it that way. Ah, that makes a lot of sense. No, it totally makes sense. Oh, I mean, it
there's a
does
lot to
everything
think about.
totally.
There's a lot of unknowns. Um, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot I don't understand, but I'm on this journey to learn more, and I think all of us are on that journey to learn more. So as time goes on, I hope I know more, and I hope you know more, and I hope we all know more. So, but I appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming up, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Parker. You have a good one.
You as well. You as well.
So, on their account. And yeah, it's kind of exactly what I expected. Um, let's see. There's a few in here. January 6th was more peaceful than a BLM riots of 2020. Proved me wrong. January 6th was a mostly peaceful protest. Proved me wrong. Yeah, unsure. So while these average American ask you a question, it's always asking questions. The border, stop disrespecting those who stop respecting those who disrespect our laws. Stop weaponizing the law against the whole Trump. Free Trump. He is innocent. There's a number of other ones. I'm not gonna watch any of this. That whole world is built around these ideas of hierarchy and power being justified and not to be questioned. Thank you for watching my video, Christianity and Conspiracy Theory. If you liked my video, give the like button a caress. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And if you actually do really want to see more, head over to my Patreon for only $2 a month. You can help support me and keep me doing this. Get access to a Discord, and I'm making video games. You get free games when they're complete. You get to help tell me how to make the games. And to my current patrons, I'm working on an investor report, a real quick little thing to let you know where I'm at in progress, where I think things are going, and kind of a timeline. Just head over to patreon.com/pink and blue shark to join. And to my current patrons, thank you so much for your support. From Hell's Bells, Alita D, I'm Cool High Five, and Dan H. And maybe you're a rich person that somehow agrees with me. Might use a job. The lobsters!